The New England Patriots' sputtering loss to the Denver Broncos on Sunday should have come as no surprise. The lack of rhythm and energy, the misfires and mistakes, these are the kind of things that happen when a team has only one real practice in 2 weeks while having its routine and roster otherwise upended by positive COVID-19 tests and the protocols they trigger.
That's not an excuse for the Patriots. But their struggle does underscore how impressive the Tennessee Titans were in their demolition of the Buffalo Bills after their own 2-week shutdown amid a team-wide coronavirus outbreak that engulfed nearly 24 people. "We need more time together, we need to practice together," Bill Belichick told reporters after the 18-12 loss to Denver dropped New England to 2-3.
Later, he added, "Hopefully we'll be able to practice this week. We certainly need it." True, but while the Patriots looked ragged and the Broncos nearly blew a late lead with atrocious clock and game management, the Denver-New England tilt was the perfect microcosm for the season, twice delayed, with a COVID-recovered quarterback and cornerback playing and roster holes for both teams that arose all the way to the final hours before kickoff.
Each week this season feels like a walk across a high wire, with the NFL trying to make it to the next slate of games without a team being shut down or the entire schedule being thrown into a blender. After a wholesale remaking of the schedule last Sunday, this week's games have gone off as planned, which is not to say that the NFL has returned to the relative quiet of training camp and the first 3 weeks of the regular season. That,
the NFL's chief medical officer Dr. Alan Sills suggested this week, is probably too much to hope for, with infection rates rising again throughout the country, including spikes in some cities that are home to NFL teams. Rather, keeping this game on, keeping the entire Sunday schedule on, was a marvel of testing, contact tracing and the NFL's determination to figure out how to safely play on, and we should get used to it.
In recent days, Denver's running backs coach Curtis Modkins tested positive and stayed back when the Broncos flew to New England. The Patriots put running back Sony Michel and guard Shaq Mason, among others, on the reserve COVID-19 list this weekend.
The Jaguars placed almost their entire practice squad on the list. The Atlanta Falcons worked remotely late this week after a player tested positive and took 2 planes to their game in Minnesota. The late additions to the reserve COVID-19 list in Foxborough almost certainly affected the Patriots' level of play. The offensive line, already in flux because of injury, lost Mason, causing even more shuffling and an inability to offer much protection to Cam Newton, who was himself returning from missing a game following a positive COVID-19 test. There has been no announcement about whether Mason and Mitchell tested positive themselves or were deemed high-risk close contacts of someone who did. The NFL put in place a new protocol this week requiring high-risk close contact exposures to isolate for 5 days. That creates roster holes for teams to manage on game days, but it limits the chance of spreading the virus within a team. That is a trade-off that might make for the kind of sloppy football we saw from the Patriots, but it is a trade-off the NFL is now willing to make.